Yeah, it's
Neat.
funny how that works.
It is. It is funny.
Hey,
Hello, everyone.
what is going on? Hello, hello, hello. We are the 8-Bit Upstarts, and my name is Nate.
I'm Tommy.
And so we were originally going to talk about more about Starfield today. We were going to talk about Starfield.
We will still.
We will at some point, but we have a much more interesting topic that has come to light. So for anyone that doesn't know, due to, what was it, the FTC?
Yeah. So
What's I don't know, the discovery phase of the FTC
versus Microsoft. I don't know how courts work, especially like at that scale. But yeah, with Microsoft purchasing Activision Blizzard, the FTC filed a lawsuit against Microsoft. I don't know what the lawsuit is. That part I didn't quite look into. But yeah, during the discovery phase, when the courts are asking Microsoft and other entities to provide documentation, I assume, on why this acquisition is legal and this shouldn't be a court case, Microsoft seemingly attached a bunch of extra documents to the upload, extra document, including and not limited to emails and plans for the future. So just as a sort of list of them, the things that were attached to these court documents were some documents related to a diskless Xbox Series X redesign, their next generation Xbox, a new Xbox controller, unannounced Bethesda games and remakes, and even discussions about acquiring Nintendo and, to a lesser extent, Valve. The best headline. There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
But my favorite headline so far is Microsoft leaked its own Xbox documents, court says. I just there is a little bit of that. How does that happen, right? Like how's a company as big as Microsoft? Obviously, it's human error, and I know exactly why it happened. And it's not really anyone's fault. I don't think. It's just accident. It's just an unfortunate accident because it's so big, publicized, and the amount and the type of content that was leaked.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, like you said, there's a lot to unpack here. Obviously, the new console stuff is interesting.
Yeah, so the both things, right? Like the refresh that they're planning on doing, if everything stays the same based on the documents that were leaked, I don't know if any of that's going to shift now, or has already shifted, because I know some of the documents were from 2020. Some of them were just from last year, and obviously things can change a lot internally at places. But the Xbox Series X refresh, the little cylindrical design that they have, no discs anymore, which I feel like that's the way everything's been trending recently. Everything's digital, everything's pulling from the cloud as much as possible. Like, they're really going hard into Xbox Game Pass. PlayStation's doing PS, what is that called? PS Play or something. PlayStation. That can't be right, but they have their own service too. Yeah. So it's an interesting concept, and it coincides with the new controller that leaked as well, which I think, of all of the things, other than the Bethesda remakes, which I feel like we'll get to in a minute, the controller is the most interesting, because it looks like it's taking all of the good things, like from the Stadia controller, from Steam and the Steam Deck, and it's and its controller too, that Steam used to have a controller. So it's got the lift to wake function and a couple other things, but the whole redesign is interesting with the cylinder.
I saw the kind of mock-up of it, and I'm not gonna lie, first thing I thought was, that's an Alexa.
I didn't go there But yeah, you're right. That is what the Alexa looked like for a long time. It's just a little cylinder. It's like a bigger Alexa.
Yeah, because we have the little hockey puck Alexa.
Yeah,
but I do know I do know someone else that has the actual like tower cylinder.
Yeah, we used to have that one.
It's like that's what that is.
Yeah, that's very true. I wonder if you can just say, "Hey, Xbox," and it'll wake up. But I mean, they released some specs on it too, and they have its whole launch timeline, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Where was I?
I was surprised that
go ahead.
They had I think I saw that the price is actually the same for the discless compared to the original.
Really, I didn't. Oh, this is I forgot to go through this court document.
But
it's launching at $300.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, there's two versions: the Elliewood 1 terabyte and the Brooklyn 2 terabyte.
Okay.
The Elliewood's the cheaper one, and that's $300, and then the Brooklyn's $500.
Okay, it's the Brooklyn that I saw that.
Oh, okay.
And gotcha. I think they said that like they compensated that by adding an extra terabyte of storage to keep the price the same. So that's interesting.
It's interesting because it's it's digital. So it's like the Xbox Series. Is it the S?
I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I can't. I don't own one, but I know one of them came with a disc drive and one of them didn't.
I'm just not a fan of the Xbox naming convention right now, so
I don't. None of it makes sense to me. You start with Xbox, then you go to Xbox 360, which everyone loved. Like I had that console; it was great. I love the 360, and then it's Xbox One, and it's like, what are we doing? And then Xbox One something. I thought there was
Series X.
Is the Series come after the one? I can't even. It's too hard to like. PlayStation had it right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they don't know exactly what direction they want to take the name for the Xbox, and it's just like what just this should be the easy part, the name.
Right. I mean, and you could even link that into like computer hardware too, with like the Nvidia and AMD cards. Like right now AMD has the graphics card, like the 7900 XT, and their CPU they have a 7900X. So it's like they're only one letter apart. Obviously they're two completely different components, but like they're starting to like bleed into that like same name thing too. And Nvidia was like, they had the GTX 1000 series, 2000 series, and then they switched to RTX and went to 2000, 3000. And so it's just like, I may have gotten that a little screwed up. It was just like I never understand.
It's still the same thing.
They have like idea, whatever. But again, going back to the controller, I think is the most interesting piece of all of this, because I don't own an Xbox anymore, but I think personally the Xbox controller is like, at least for me, the perfect controller. I had a PlayStation for a long time. They don't make a bad controller either. I find the joysticks being offset is perfect for the way like it fits my hands, and I think obviously for a lot of people too, right? Like it's a pretty popular controller, but I'm interested in what this new Xbox controller will bring to the table. That lift to wake function is kind of interesting, but I think that would probably only be with the new Xbox refresh, where it's like you don't have to power on your Xbox anymore. You just go grab your controller and then your Xbox is turned on, which it's like one of those things where it's like, is that like new and innovative? No. But is it really convenient and kind of cool? Yeah. So it's like, that's kind of neat. But I'm curious, like, if there's any, there's a lot of these things that they do obviously to make it work really well with an Xbox. But I'm curious because, they pair Xbox controllers with PCs so well. is the PC going to get any of that new functionality, or is it pretty much just going to be another controller to buy that you could have?
Which, you know, it's funny, because I play fighting games on PC, so I use a controller as opposed to the keyboard or anything. And I use my Sony, my PlayStation controller.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's actually how I play Starfield too.
With
the controller.
Because you have a PS5, right?
Yes, but I'm actually using my PS4 controller for yeah, because I actually got one that I really liked, and I really like the color. So it's like I've just been using it for forever, and it's like I don't need any of the cool features. I just need something that I can hold in my hand. And for me, actually, the PlayStation controller is like my favorite compared to Xbox. But because, like you said, it's like they basically found a design and they pretty much stuck with it through all their iterations. And I grew up, like, PlayStation was like one of my first systems, so it's like it's always been that constant for me.
I think for me, where I like really switched was after like the PS3, because like those joysticks, I felt like, and I'm sure there were variations of the controller that would have fixed this, and I think the PS4 controller and onward has fixed this problem, but like the PS3 control, like the joysticks, because they're the same, I would sometimes find my thumbs hitting each other because they were kind of close and big, like the on the PS3 specifically. Or on the 4, they have the same thing that the Xbox controller does. This is my wife's Xbox controller, custom colored and everything, where they have like the little it's like concave in the middle to keep your thumbs and I know the PS4 controller does the same thing. I think that has been a godsend to joysticks.
Yeah, I know.
Having
it's funny. It's just those little tiny things that make the difference. But with controllers, it really does. I mean, look at the N64 controller back in the day.
Hey, I don't know if it's nostalgia now, but I love that controller.
Oh, like, I did too. I look back on it and I think, like, how the hell did I use this thing?
Like, yeah, that's one of those controllers where you look at it and you're like, how did this get through R&D? Like, how did someone looked at this and went, this is the perfect controller, and like a controller where I can't physically touch every component in any configuration of holding it. There's no way. Did you ever have any like friends that played that, holding that? Because there were like multiple ways to hold the controller, right? Like obviously depending on if the game required the joystick or the D-pad. But I had a friend who would hold the joystick, so the middle part of it, in his right hand and put his left hand over the right shoulder button and hit all of the A, B, and C buttons that way. That was how he played.
No, man.
Yeah.
Just no.
Yeah, I know. I played it like normal.
Yeah, that's so crazy. But honestly, with that controller, I'm not surprised. Because you had to get creative sometimes.
You could do it. You could throw it, and it would come back to you.
Yeah, it was like that middle part. It's just a great handle. Just
whack. And then Mario Party, when you need to spin, just palm it.
Yeah, I was just like, I had one time. I actually like got a blister like right.
Oh
in the
yeah,
middle.
we've all been there. Yeah.
And then I had to switch hands. And then I was
you're like, I'm not done yet.
Like now I have blisters on both hands. Hey.
Oh
it's
man,
like, this doesn't look weird at all.
Right.
So okay, back on top.
Yeah. So I think it's so that's the new refresh of the Xbox, and then they have like there were documents in that leak about the next generation Xbox too. So the one where they have 2028 is like their
that's what I think.
At that
saw
point in
that
time,
right?
Yeah, it was the planned time, and it was going to be more focused, I think, to like hybrid gaming. Like with pushing Xbox Game Pass more and pulling from the cloud and stuff like that.
I feel like they're going to be really like going hard on Game Pass in the future, which seems to be like their best option. Yeah,
for sure. I think they're doing a great job with it. I just am like, I don't, unless they obviously we didn't get all of the leaks, like they didn't leak everything internally, but like they've already been pushing that super hard. And I mean, they already released an Xbox that doesn't have a disc drive anymore, which obviously can still download games. But like Game Pass, I felt like that was like the focus of that, was to use Game Pass. And so I'm curious, like how are they going to push harder into that? Right. Like
what more can they do?
What more can they do? And the other thing too is like, yeah, it's great. Game Pass is such a cool concept, and like when it works, it's cool. But like, not everyone has the internet to play those games, especially competitive games. Not everyone has a stable internet connection. Not everyone has a good enough internet connection. Like that part, it's hard to like go straight into that until we can solve that problem.
Right.
So I am curious to see like what their plans are for that next one.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, one, just how that evolves, and two, how like Sony will respond. Yeah, because they kind of have to get an answer for that, because Game Pass is getting more popular, and especially with having like Starfield release on Game Pass. At like
Starfield
release.
isn't even going to come out for the PlayStation, so yeah. Like that's
which also kind of like was one of the leaks, is that the Elder Scrolls 6 is most likely like not going to be on PlayStation. So which I kind of expected.
Yeah, I anticipated. But... Yeah, I anticipated that, and not Starfield. Mostly because we had no indication that Starfield wasn't going to be, or was going to be, an Xbox exclusive. I anticipated that would be both, but then I mean, you could see the writing on the wall when Microsoft did all of these acquisitions, that things were gonna be exclusive to them now. So
I mean, yeah, that's why you buy it, right?
Right. Which, yeah. So luckily, you have a PC. You can still get the Elder Scrolls 6. Yes. The other things that I was interested in from the games that were released were the Oblivion remaster and the Fallout 3 remaster. Because I loved Fallout 3. That's like probably my favorite Fallout game still, is like story and everything. Like that was like not the first like Bethesda game I played, because Morrowind was the first one, but like, taking that Bethesda game and putting it into like a first person shooter, like the whole Fallout, like everything, that game was just perfect. So like, hopefully that still happens. The Oblivion remaster, I mean, Oblivion was great. I loved that game, but not as much as I think I liked Morrowind and obviously like Skyrim, but I know Oblivion is like a beloved game. The other thing that's kind of interesting with that is like, there's also the team of modders and developers who are porting Oblivion into the Skyrim engine to make Sky Oblivion, and they actually just in the last week, I think, released like a video of like where they're at in the progress, and it like that one looks kind of cool too, which is like that one's like upgraded in a sense of it's in a new engine. It's not like remastered on the old engine, which I don't know what their plans are for Oblivion, if they were going to do it or not. So that's interesting, like very interesting to see if those still are in the works.
Yeah, and I saw also the Dishonored 3 was on that list.
Yeah. Did you play the first two?
I played the first one, and I got about halfway through the second one. And I love the first one. The first one was great. This is a great stealth game. If you like playing stealth, you don't have to play stealth, but it's kind of encouraged.
Yeah, I saw too. Like, cause I barely touched that game. I don't know what it was that I just couldn't, like, I don't know why I didn't play it, but it's like one of those games where you can either kill the people, you can, but just like knock them out. And then like the ending of the game changes based on like how many people you killed and like how stealthy you were, which that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So the reason I stopped playing the second one is because I'm not very good at being stealthy.
Yeah.
I tried so hard to be stealthy, and I failed at it, and I was too prideful to turn the difficulty down to get past like this one point, and
for all those people who watch you and would make fun of you for turning a difficulty down in a game they don't even know you're playing.
But yeah, so but it was fun. I mean, it was a beautiful game. I love the setting. That kind of like almost steampunkish, Victorian-esque,
like
I don't know,
like BioShock Infinite almost.
Yeah, it was just a very very cool setting, and it was cool. Like, it was almost like gosh, I can't even think like how it was like, as like as stealthy as you are supposed to be in Assassin's Creed. I felt like Dishonored, you were like supposed to even be more stealthy. But for me, the problem I had with Dishonored is because everything was kind of like almost like a pattern that you had to like wait for the right moment to strike.
Yeah.
And excuse me, I'm a little under the weather, so I apologize. But it's just like I'm not good at waiting for that right moment where the guard is like turned this direction and another guard is turned this other direction, and then you can do your thing. But you have to wait like 30-40 seconds for that to happen, and it's just like, okay, I'm impatient, I'm just gonna run up and kill.
Yeah.
And then I die. So
right.
So yeah, but I am curious about Dishonored 3. That's a series I would love to get back into.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that goes. Like you said, with the other remasters and whatnot. So I think that'll be very interesting moving forward, and it's just nice to at least hear that there's some thought for it going down the road.
And then
so go ahead.
Just like rounding out, just the other games that were announced in that leak were like a sequel to Ghostwire Tokyo, which I hear is a really good game that I've never played, and then another Doom game. Which,
that's right. I saw the Doom one.
Yeah, that's interesting too. I haven't actually played any of the new Dooms, but I hear they're awesome. Like, just run and gun, mindless, like Doom. Like, right? Like,
Doom,
there's
right?
there's nothing to think about in that game. Kill aliens. That's it. And so, like, that's pretty cool too. And then there are a couple, like, what'd they say, a number of titles for console PC without specific names, like an Indiana Jones game, Project Kestrel, Project Platinum, and a vaguely named licensed IP game. So kind of interesting. But sorry, you wanted to, what you wanted to talk about, where you were going?
You know what? I don't even remember at this point. I do remember. No, now that I was trying to think, because I could have sworn that there were other announced game. Well, announced.
Yeah, they had a whole slide with them, and that was just like the big hitters.
But I think that's interesting. I think Doom is probably the biggest one on that list right now, because I believe that the last Doom did pretty well. It was pretty well received. So that's good. Good for Doom fans. Okay, but so moving on for the leaked stuff. Or moving on with the leaked stuff.
The leaks, yeah.
Yeah. Did you read the whole thing about some of the executives were contemplating, it's like, hey, can we buy Nintendo?
Yeah, that was like of all of the leaks, that to me was the biggest one for a lot of reasons.
And the ramifications of that are massive,
and I don't think any of them are good.
No, but on a positive note, I don't think there's any chance that it happens.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I think it's just like I think these are more just general musing. It's like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if, kind of thing.
And these are particularly, like, these leaks came from 3 years ago now. Which, means internal conversations could be going either direction at this point. But there's no scenario that I can think of where Microsoft purchased. There's no scenario where I can see Microsoft purchasing Nintendo, because Nintendo is so baked into Japan's culture. Like, and I think Nintendo is a pretty big, like, part of, like, Japan's, like, economy. Like, that's where it's going to be really difficult. But, like, there's also no scenario where I see that being a good thing for anyone other than the leadership teams and board of directors for those two companies. Like, that's strictly a money grab. There's no way that you can dress it up that makes it not look like that to me, because there's nothing. They're two functionally different entities that do two, like, they are in the same space, obviously, but they go about it in completely different ways. And I just, like, did you also read too in the email the offhanded throw, like, we've looked at Nintendo and also Valve? Which,
no, I didn't see the Valve bit.
It was like because our board of directors has seen a full write-up on Nintendo and then in parentheses and Valve, and they're fully supportive on either if the opportunity arises, as am I.
Oh my gosh. So
it's not a good look for us, like you and me, gamer 1 and gamer 2. It's not great. Like we said, Nintendo, it does seem like a pretty far-fetched situation. The only thing in that email, it does say that, like, a former Microsoft board of director member has been heavily acquiring shares of Nintendo, and Phil Spencer has been keeping in contact with that board of director CEO. So that's not great. Like, that doesn't seem like that's trending in the right direction. But as far as Valve goes, it does feel like Valve and Steam, like, Gabe Newell is going to hold on to that with his, like, you'll have to pry it out of his dead hands. And so I think everything is going to be fine as long as Gabe is still the CEO, at least how I kind of view it, because he left Microsoft. So he used to work for Microsoft. So I don't see, unless it's like a hostile takeover, which, again, I don't really understand the ins and outs of how a lot of that work. So I'm not going to say that it can't happen, because Microsoft bought Bethesda and is working on Activision Blizzard. So,
but
anything can happen.
Excuse me. As I would say, it's actually probably more positive that, with as difficult as it has been to get through this Activision acquisition, that would suggest that something like, because, you know, it's one thing to take Activision, but to go after Nintendo or Valve, I think those are two highly different scenarios where I don't think the FTC is trying hard not to make this Activision go smoothly.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any way that the FTC would allow, not even just the FTC with Nintendo, but even just like Japan's government. I doubt.
I was to say, there's going to be a lot, like, right now they just had to get through the FTC and then, like, the, like, European. I know that they were the ones that I think really started this whole thing, like the European was some governing body. But yeah, like you said, Nintendo's, you have Japan, the country, their economy, those different areas, the FTC, like, there's so many more hurdles to get that. I think Valve is, honestly, speaking from that sense, probably the easier target to get, but I don't think Gabe would allow that to happen. I don't know. It's
something
it's
worth
just
keeping an eye on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's weird too, right? Because it's like, it's worth watching and it's worth talking about, but, like, I guess I'm sometimes so disillusioned to, like, what can we do to prevent that? Like, is there anything, and all of our viewer, please, in the comments, what do you think is, like, what can we do to prevent things like this from happening? Or can we? You know what I mean?
No, I mean, ultimately we can't do jack. We could think we can. We think we have power, but do we?
No. We get on their board of directors and
I'll
stop it. All that money
get
that we
started
have
on that.
Right, yeah. If
I'll
we
see if I can
combine
find a
all of our
suit.
monies, we could maybe have a fraction of the money that one board of
If we
directors
combine
member
all
has.
our money, we could probably buy lunch.
Yeah,
for
we could have one
the
money.
executive board.
So yeah, that's
So ridiculous.
Yeah, I think that's all the big things from the leak. There were a couple of things in there about the internal like emails for when they were watching the PlayStation 5 release and how they were like feel so confident that they're going to have a better system, which like I'm sure if PlayStation's internal documents were leaked, they probably said the same thing about, Microsoft's. So it's like that one was just kind of funny, but like nothing that I anticipate, like nothing about that surprised me.
No, I mean, if you're at that point, you should be confident in your product, I would hope.
Right. Yeah. So I guess at this point, to end it, Starfield.
No. We have one more thing.
We have one more thing
to talk about.
What was our one more thing?
Unity.
Oh, yeah.
So
Unity.
For anyone that's been keeping track, there's obviously been a lot of controversy about the whole Unity engine for developers and their pricing model and all that stuff. I'm going to let Tommy cover most of this one because he's been following a little bit more closely than I have, but I've been trying to keep my eye on it, and it's pretty interesting stuff going on here.
Yeah. So I wish I would have taken better notes for this, but yeah, from what I can tell, because I've been like watching different YouTubers kind of give their perspective on it, like reading, a lot of developers took to Twitter and were really up in arms about this, which like, I mean, they're the ones that can do something about it, because like, it was something like almost 50% of like mobile games and like, indie games are made with Unity. So this is pretty impactful. But Unity released some policy updates that are going to take effect in January of next year. So January 1 of 2024 regarding their runtime engine. So basically there's the engine, from what I can gather, I am not a developer. The engine used to develop the games is one half of it. And then when you install a game that uses Unity, there's a runtime engine that is used to translate all of that game code into the game that you can play. They're going to start charging like a fee for any time anyone downloads a game. There's no way I can read into this and not see how this isn't just like another money situation, right? Like,
right. Just
we need to keep
greed.
we need to keep increasing our return on investment. So this is how we charge more money. There's a lot of stipulations, like, if you don't make so much money in a year and you don't have so many downloads in a year, this won't affect you. Then they later came out and said, but they were like very vague about everything, and they deleted language about stuff without anyone saying anything to anyone. They said this was also going to take effect to retroactive, like games that had already been installed prior to January 1st, and then they walked that back. But they said it'd be about 10% of games or developers would be affected. And then they added an addendum to that then got deleted later, but it was like, it would be about 23,000 developers, because they have about 230,000 developers that use Unity. So like, that's still a pretty big number of developers that it's going to affect. And like, some indie developers, when this first came out, were taking to Twitter and like, this would literally bankrupt me. I would owe them more than I've ever been paid by them or been paid from this game,
right.
Which is just insane. Like, this is just ridiculous. And then I saw yesterday they had kind of walked some of it back, and they're going to talk about it, and they'll have a response in a couple days, and they're going to make changes. And a lot of people are like, let us know we want full transparency what these changes are, which like I agree. Like, I don't understand I mean, I do understand why they're doing it because they want money, but like, it's just we live. Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about this, but I'm not a developer, so it's hard to be accurate in what I'm thinking because I don't know necessarily all the ins and outs of everything.
Yeah, and honestly, Unity's kind of come out and like changed how they say that they're gonna charge so many times to like I don't even know what the final like what their current like plan is. You know, because
yeah,
I saw
it changes.
I saw one where they were like, oh, well, you know, it's like you don't have to pay the download fee as long as you use our ad monetization and then they were like, oh, you know, you don't have to pay the fee. Sony will cover your you know, expense or the difference in the price. Like not just Sony, but like the major developers.
Wherever
Sony,
your published
Microsoft,
game is through.
Whatnot. Yeah.
And like charity games don't apply.
Yeah,
and if and then
like,
there's
they
like
just keep changing it and just like obviously they're scrambling to try to save phase. But like there's I've seen like a lot of these developers, like these smaller developers who are just like even like they're going to the point where they're saying, okay, you know, we were working on a game that had been using Unity. We're about like 80% done. And so now we're going to start over and use a different engine just altogether. Yep. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. And what was that article that you found right before we started the podcast?
Oh, the one about AppLovin.
Yeah.
Or whatever it's called. It's like one of their biggest competitors to Unity, I guess has created or planning to create a utility that will convert a Unity game to another engine. Like wow.
If they can get that working, I mean, if you can take a game, like you're saying, like a studio that's got a game 80% in Unity and now they want to start over, if they can dump into this tool, their game, and they get 80% of the way there, I think that's a huge win.
Bit. Yeah, that's a huge win. And what's the phrase? It's like if don't interrupt your opponent when they're doing something stupid. You know?
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like so I think this is AppLovin's just like not even like they're not even trying to interrupt. They're encouraging, like, here, you know, we'll
they're
help
taking
you
advantage of a situation that's been presented to them. Very smart.
So that's crazy.
Because it does feel like even if Unity completely were to walk this back, they're probably going to lose a decent chunk of business because none of this was communicated until it went public. And right. I saw some. I'd have to go dig up like this. Like, I don't know if it was like a podcast where like they had actually deleted like writing from other policies from their like GitHub prior to this so that it wasn't there, and then they deleted the repository that tracks the changes, so they deleted it from the actual thing, and then they deleted it from the thing that tracks that they deleted it. So it's like they're looking real scummy right now.
Yeah, so that's not good.
No.
And I saw that the I think whoever the acting CEO of Unity is was a former EA employee executive, and I'm like, why am I not surprised?
Yeah, this all tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, money.
Yeah, it's all money. I was trying to think of like what games that I've played that use Unity. I think Slay the Spire uses Unity.
And they came out pretty strong, didn't they? Strongly against it.
Yeah. Well, I think because a lot of them were like, better download our game now because we're taking it off starting January 1st. Because there was even like language in there that would like, even if the game was pirated and installed, like that potentially could count toward this fee because it's an install. And so, and the other big thing too was like, if, you know, say a malicious actor wanted to like take down a company because they felt like the game sucked, they could delete install as like a whole bunch of times, and all of those would effectively count toward that number. And just knowing how I am as a gamer, I'll delete a game because I haven't played it in a while to free up space for other games, and then I'll maybe reinstall it later. Like with Vanished, like I showed you, I've deleted and reinstalled that game a half a dozen times at least.
Yeah, no, I do that with my Steam quite a bit. My Steam game list, it's half the time, half of it's active, half the time it's not, and the third half, is the other games that I just never have played.
Oh yeah, but my Steam is full of games that have no recorded activity. Speaking of games with recorded activity, recently though, Starfield, have you heard of it?
No, not familiar. Oh yeah, I know what one you're talking about. I've only got like 90 hours in it right now.
Yeah, I don't have that many, but I've almost got 40 in it. Dude, we were talking about this the other day. This game has turned into one of those games where I don't realize how much time has passed while I've been playing it. Which,
same.
like...
No, absolutely. It's just, like... I don't know where I found 90 hours to dump into this right now.
Yeah, when you told me you were approaching 100, I was like... On one hand, I was like, I get it, because of what I explained, but on the other hand, I was like, when? When have you had that time?
Well, yeah, that too. Well, like I said, I've been sick, so I've been,
True.
not at work, and sometimes I just hop on. But I will say though that some of that time is I have not actually played, but had it on because I was like watching how to play Starfield videos.
Oh yeah, so it was just sitting on. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like that, and I'm watching like a 15-minute video on how to do outposts and everything. So, but it's still, and I'm not gonna lie, like as I am approaching 100 hours, I still feel like I'm barely scratching the surface of what this game has to offer.
Yeah, well, and I remember we talked about this a little bit because this was one of the big things in the reviews was like how the beginning, like the game is slow to start. Like it does feel like it doesn't have that like, hey, you're awake like moment like Skyrim had. It doesn't just like throw you in and you have all these things to do. But man, once you get like about 10 hours into the game, it really starts to kick off, and it's just like I find myself like so overwhelmed with like I want to do this, but I also want to do this, but I don't have enough time right now, so I have to pick one of these, and then I end up doing a unrelated third thing instead, and I don't do one of those first two things.
Yeah, that's kind of exactly how the situation I have, because like even though I've played like probably twice as much as you have, you are probably about twice as far in the main story as I am.
Yeah.
So it's just like you keep saying, it's like, dude, have you done this part in the main quest? And I'm like, no, I haven't.
No. No, is your outpost sick like mine? No, it's not. It's literally one building.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, my outpost is pretty sick, but
it's not.
It's and the shipbuilding too. Like I decided like now I'm just like gonna focus on shipbuilding. Currently.
I'm getting there because I now have 4 ships. I mean, we both have that one ship from the quest that quest was pretty sick. I don't want to give away any spoilers. But that one is pretty cool. And so like I find like I want to upgrade my ship. And have you seen some of the ships people have made?
Oh my gosh, they're amazing, right?
Well, and like the one, like that, like the Planet Express ship from Futurama, and then like stuff from Star Wars and like Firefly too. Like they had all of those, but the one that killed me is like they exploited the AI in ship fighting because it will always aim for the middle of your ship. So that person basically made a bunch of like a giant cube. Just the outside of the cube, did not fill the cube in, so it's completely empty in the middle, and they never get hit because all of the bullets like travel right through the ship. It's the dumbest looking ship I've ever seen, but I mean, hey, it literally doesn't get touched. Which like, I was like, okay, that's funny, but I don't think I'm gonna I'm not gonna break the rules like that.
I'm like, I'm taking. I mean, not to say that I think it's very cool that you can do that, and I think it's really neat to see some of the cool things that people can do with those ships, like pushing it to the boundaries of like feasibility and like almost maximizing like the space with like you said, like they determined that enemy fighters aim for like this specific part of your ship like every time, so you build around it. But all of that, like I think that's fantastic. Me personally, I'm more traditional. I want to build a cool looking ship that looks like a spaceship.
Exactly. The Planet Express ship I really do want to try because I feel like that one would be pretty cool. I'm not spec'd into being able to build
I'm currently working on it. I've got the piloting, so I've unlocked the ability to pilot a Class C ship.
Yeah, I have to kill a couple ships before I get there.
I'm working on the spaceship design badge now.
Yeah.
I have the first level of that, but I still need 3 more levels to get there. So that'll take some time, but I can't wait.
Do you have... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you have any badges fully maxed out?
Nothing fully maxed out. I have other than piloting. Piloting's the only one that I have maxed out. I have outpost engineering nearly maxed out, but other than that, I've kind of just been like picking badges almost as I need them.
Yeah,
which
I finally
is tricky.
Oh, for sure. I was trying to get piloting up, but I ran into the situation where I had not completed the challenge. So then I was like, I guess I have to pick a different badge that I also still need. So
if you want an easy, so the piloting one where it's like destroy, so many ships.
I saw you can run the tutorial a bunch to get all of those.
Yeah, the Vanguard pilot simulator, and that's what I did.
Yeah,
and also the same with I did increase my ship shield capacity badge too, which I also used the flight sim for that. Because the thing to increase your shield, you have to take shield damage to unlock the next level
all the time.
Yeah, I was like, I'm really good at that.
so what level are you to?
You mean just like character level?
Yeah,
like 27.
Okay,
I think.
I just hit 25 yesterday.
Look at that. That's how much time I think I've spent on shit that doesn't do anything. That doesn't impact. Like I played twice as much as you, and I'm only like 2 or 3 levels ahead of you.
2 levels higher. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got my pistol badge all the way, so I'm maxed out on like doing, because I've just been I use like rifles too when I need to, especially when I'm like running low on ammo potentially. But for whatever reason, I really like using pistols with this character I'm on, so I'm just like all pistols all the time, baby.
I kind of just use as needed, like what weapons as needed.
Yeah, right. Yeah, whatever's available.
Right.
So I have the wanted trait, and did you pick that one too?
I did.
So every single time. So I also fast travel a bunch and don't end up needing to jump drive to get to places. Obviously, if they're new places, you have to jump there before you can, land on the planet. But when I'm going back or whatever, I just want to get there as fast as possible. So I just go straight to like the lodge or whatever. But when I do, you have a chance to run into those bounty hunters, like every time you do a like warp drive or enter instance into a new space of a planet or system. And so every single time they've showed up, they're massively. I'm getting to the point now where I'm closer in level to them. But when when the first time I saw them, I was like massively under leveled. But I'm like, I'm not paying you, even though the bounty's like $2,000, like 2,000 credits, and I have more than enough to cover that. I'm like, nah. And so I fought them every single time. I fought them 4 times, and I have lost every single time. They're the only reason I've died in Starfield at all in this character is ship battles. Every single time I've died in a ship battle. So I will take damage.
Like the Crimson Fleet one.
I'm on that quest right now.
Okay.
How far are you in that one?
I finished it.
Oh, you finished it? Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm in the first heist right now.
Okay, yeah, you got a ways to go.
That quest. Okay, so the main quest is cool because it's the main quest. But
Right.
this quest, this Crimson Raider one, is pretty sick. Like, I've really enjoyed this.
I was talking to a friend who also finished it, and I was telling him that basically this quest for the Crimson Fleet alone feels like it could be its own like standalone like DLC. It's so in depth and so thorough and so emotional that it blew my mind. I like when I finished it and actually like got to a point where it's like it's over, like it's no longer in my tracker. I'm just like just sit back. I'm just like that was exhausting.
Yeah, I mean, on the part I'm on, it's because it's like a heist, and that's what I mean. It's hard to not like heists, right? Like just the concept of a heist, the way it's like executed. It's like I feel like other games have done heists better because this is a Bethesda game, so it's like got its own unique style of game, right? It's like slightly buggy and it's like a little weird, whatever. But like, man, it is compelling. Like it's very, and like I've been specking very hard into like persuasion and stuff like that. So like I have, and being an industrialist, like that's made some of these easier. And I know like different traits would make different parts of it easier too. But like, it's like I was playing it last night doing that quest exactly, and I was like, all right, this is too much right now. Like I've been on high adrenaline trying to figure out like just the right way to like talk to people, and I was like, I'm gonna have to come back to this because this is intense and it's so fun.
It only gets better. So I'm excited for you.
Yeah, I'm pumped.
And the reward is substantial, so like
Sick.
It's well worth it.
Awesome. Yeah, no. Starfield is fun.
It is fun.
The more I play it's getting more fun as I do things. I know a lot of people have had problems with like going to planets and they're sparse and they're nothing, but like that's like what most, at least in our solar system, we're the only planet with life.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what you were expecting.
On the other end of that spectrum, I've also seen some people have like they find like these utopias. And
I have not found that yet.
I saw somebody built this outpost on like this like tropical island. Like, I'm like, okay, I haven't seen any of those yet, and I want to.
Yeah. Because
it looks amazing. I will say though, I've run into a few forests, but most of them are all like snow covered, and it's still really cool.
Yeah,
you know, they look gorgeous. Honestly, I mean, it's yeah. I mean, I fully expect like I hit like a moon and it's barren, and I'm like, yeah, that's mostly what they look like.
Yep, what I would anticipate. Yeah, and then I did like, because at first people were like, they can't land on Jupiter because it's a gas giant. There's literally nowhere to land. And then I did see in one of the loading screens, it was like, you cannot land on gas giants. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Also, I don't know, have you taken any photos in the game using the photo mode?
I haven't. I should.
When you do, those will slowly filter into your loading screens, which cool. I think is a really cool feature. So like,
I didn't know that.
I have a couple, I've taken like 4, and every now and then one will pop up as my loading screen. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you can take some really cool photos from what I've seen.
Yeah, a lot of things.
But no, I'm still gonna keep playing. Like I said, I barely cracked the surface. So I look forward to many more hours to put into this game. And then start over and do it again.
Yeah. Yep.
I've heard.
You need to do the main quest. You really need to do the main quest.
Yeah, I know.
At least to a certain point where things make more sense. Yeah, you need to do.
I've been avoiding spoilers, so with like the main storyline.
I'm not saying anything. So but you need to do it.
Sorry about that. But yeah, that's I'm excited. I am very excited. So it's probably a good point to wrap it up.
I think so.
We'll have more to talk about Starfield next week, I'm sure.
This might just be the end of every one of our podcasts for the next couple.
Yeah, the Starfield segment.
Years. Yeah, yeah, exactly. The Starfield segment.
But yeah, so actually a lot of interesting news that came out today, and glad we got to cover that for you if you weren't familiar. Definitely worth looking at.
And our hot takes.
Yeah, our hot takes on things we know nothing about.
Or lukewarm takes.
Lukewarm takes. Room temperature takes.
Yeah.
Basically.
Easy.
So we'll try to keep you updated on some of these if any new things pop up with these. Yeah, new news, breaking news.
I don't think we can use that. Yeah.
So yeah, but we'll keep an eye on this leaked info that has come out, and I'm curious to see what like Microsoft's like official response will be to a lot of these things. So we'll be sure to cover that when that happens. Unity, I think that's not going anywhere for a little while at least. So I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about that in the future. And of course Starfield. And then also I will say Mortal Kombat just dropped the new Mortal Kombat 1. I'm hoping to pick that up sometime within the week and hopefully have some more info to talk about that.
Yeah, for sure.
So that'll be fun. I'm very much looking forward to it. I have a lot of friends that are big MK heads that are also like pushing me to get it as soon as possible so that we can play. But I'll let you know how that goes. And but for now, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. We are the 8-Bit Upstarts. My name is Nate.
I'm Tommy.
And thanks for listening, and we will catch you next time. Peace.
Peace.